Thank you for joining us here for another episode of the Uncharted Podcast, your home for nonprofit data talk, donor management tools and updates, and financial integrations. My name is Jeremy, and partnering with me is awesome, as always. Oh my God, it's a week.
You're right. I am awesome. Thanks.
We're going to start with that. We know it's not AI again right away with this episode.
Not even close.
How are you, Summer?
I'm doing well. I am hiding out, though. It's just a little too hot for my liking, so I'm in the AC.
We're different people. I would love to be sweating right now, but I'm in my basement, so here we are. Cool. Well, let's jump in. We actually have a product update. I don't know if you had a chance to look at what I just briefly sent over before we got connected here.
I did, yeah.
Cool news out of Bloomerang is going to be starting a partnership with Datero, and I think I'm saying that right, that they're going to be integrated on that platform. So are you familiar with Datero?
I'm not. I was just reading up on it before our podcast here, and yeah, it sounds really cool.
Just quick background on this, and again, very familiar with Bloomerang, one of the leading CRM tools that are out there for donor management and fundraising and communications and all of those things that we love talking about. But now Datero is itself like a AI-induced predictive model that can help you better manage donors, do fundraising campaigns, things like that, and be really proactive with suggesting who the right donor candidates are for certain fundraising efforts, as well as red flag, like we feel like this donor may be on the risk of lapsing, we should be reaching out to them. So a lot of that predictive model stuff. So kind of cool that that's going to be integrated into a major tool like Bloomerang.
Yes, and they also mentioned in that same article donor search. And donor search is a wealth screening tool. So having your wealth screening tool plus your predictive modeling tool all in one, that's going to be pretty powerful. That'll be cool.
Yeah, that'd be cool. So if you are a Bloomerang user, this is going live in July. I believe it mentioned you do need to set up to be on the early adopters list for them to kind of turn it on and you can start playing with it. But yeah, I would definitely check that out.
Yeah, absolutely.
What do they use to search for, like, tag or figure out people's wealth in the wealth donor search thingy? How do they get that information?
Oh, it's public information. So, for example, your assets, your house,
okay,
where you've donated to before. So, annual giving reports, things of that nature.
Oh, nice. Cool. All right, great. Then want to get to our Donor Perfect calendar as we've been going through. If you don't have this, you can reach out in Donor Perfect, and they have a PDF version. If you weren't one of the earlier subscribers like I was that got the handheld rip a day off calendar, but this one for today is you should survey your monthly donors to learn more about their motivations for giving and use their responses as testimonials in targeted recruitment campaigns.
Lots of monthly donor stuff. I like it, though.
Yeah.
It's an important group.
Yeah, for sure. And I don't know if I'm just picking because I kind of grabbed the one that's closest to our day that I feel like hits our topic, but maybe the monthly stuff has just been lucky enough to hit those days. So
good deal.
Great. All right. Well, let's hop right into summer's favorite time, jumping into the giving gauntlet. And
yes, I know how you love to torture me.
I do love to torture you. It is like when I'm preparing for the meetings, it's like, ooh, this is going to be fun. So theme for today, do you want to introduce what we're going to kind of talk about?
Yes. So today we are talking about CRM customization versus over-engineering. So that'll be a super fun topic because it's one of those things that you thought if you could do it, you didn't think if you should do it.
Right. Yes, agreed.
And Ian, if you could throw the Jurassic Park quote in there, that'd be great.
Ian, don't do that. We're going to jump right into this, and you'll know why.
Oh, no!
All right, well, that's great. I'm looking forward to some conversation. Let's hop in and get you started. Are you ready?
I am ready.
All right. In Jurassic Park, what scientist famously says your scientists were so preoccupied with whether or not they could, they didn't stop to think if they should?
I don't know why I'm struggling to think of his name. His character in the film. It's the chaos theory guy.
Yeah. Do you know the actor's name?
I do. I can't think of it.
Nope, you're failing. We're moving
I
on.
know.
Number two.
Justin would be so disappointed.
Yeah, he would. All right, number two, located in Green Bay, Wisconsin. This is one of the most iconic stadiums in all of professional sports.
Lambeau Field.
All right, what is a group of flamingos called?
Flock.
In Beauty and the Beast, what enchanted household item is obsessed with rules and schedules?
Clock.
In Friends, what piece of furniture is Ross trying to move when he keeps yelling pivot?
Couch.
In Game of Thrones, what phrase warns that trouble is coming?
Oh my gosh. Winter is coming, right?
What is the dot that is over a lowercase I or J called?
A dot? I don't know. The dot.
The dot, yes. All right. In The Mandalorian, what phrase does Din Djarin repeatedly say to describe the correct path or practice?
This is the way, isn't it? I don't know. I should know that, but I don't.
Well, we're staying with Star Wars. What massive space station has one tiny design flaw that leads to its destruction?
I have no idea.
Last one. We went golfing together with guests from episode 7, Sean and Adri, last Friday. How would you rate Summer's golfing skills?
um, like -20. It was awful.
Perfect. All right. Let's stop her there and go back and chat through these things.
I was doing so well, or I felt like I was doing well.
You are doing well, yeah.
I can't let Justin watch this episode. He'd be so disappointed.
Yeah, you're going to have to make him watch this episode.
Ew.
All right, so let's jump into this. So I don't know how much of this that our wonderful editor is going to keep in or not, but you almost like said the quote before I asked the question, which was the right way to start this. And we had not discussed this earlier for the record, but the scientist that has the famous line, your scientists were so preoccupied with whether or not they could, they didn't stop to think if they should, is Dr. Ian Malcolm, Jeff Goldblum's character in Jurassic Park.
I was going to say Ian too. I'm so mad.
Yeah, right.
But your scientists were so preoccupied with whether or not they could, they didn't stop to think if they should.
So, really, like this, as you allude to, kind of the perfect way to talk about this, right? Is that, just because, if you're thinking about your CRM or customization, just because you can create 100 custom fields in a 20-step workflow does not mean that you should do that, and probably shouldn't, right?
Right. So when thinking about custom fields, you actually almost want to treat them more like a liability than an asset. Because
You're using accounting terms now. Are you sure you're okay with no, go ahead.
Most of the time, especially in newer CRMs, the field that you're looking to create probably exists somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
So you're really going to want to talk through with your team what the justification is for that field. What is the standard naming convention? And then document the purpose of the field in some sort of shared directory or file. Because there's going to need to be ownership over that field. Yeah. And making sure it's clean and that it's reporting on well and that it's just flowing well within your CRM. So you're really going to need to, again, justify the need for that specific field.
Yeah, agreed. I'm going to go to the next question and then I got to follow up. But number 2 is located in Green Bay, one of the most iconic statements in all professional sports. Lambeau Field, correct. But yeah, this is really kind of to allude what you're talking about is those custom fields, right? And I have seen some cases of this, and again, we work in a little bit different worlds on CRM management versus or data management versus accounting type things. But to me, there's been many cases where I see it, and it's like no one put any thought into this whatsoever, and there is a whole bunch of extra work being done here for zero value, right? Do you have an example of maybe where you've seen one of these before where it's like, oh, geez, why?
Yes, so many. I mean, t-shirt sizes, food preferences, what seat they sat at a specific event.
Oh, Lord, why?
Well,
Why? Uh,
um, Man, what are some other weird ones? I don't know. I've seen a lot,
yeah.
especially with kind of organizations that have been around for a long time, where they may have started in one CRM, done a conversion, and then needed to create a custom field for the conversion, or maybe the CRM they were using in the first place didn't really suit their needs, so they created all these fields, and then it's just a huge jumbled mess. And like I said, most of the time, there is a field that exists
Yeah.
for your need. So there are volunteer fields, there are event fields, there are all the things that you need usually. Sometimes you might have to pay for a module, and I don't know if maybe that's what's happening, is maybe these
Mm,
nonprofits are like, well, we don't want to pay for the volunteer module because we're not really
yeah.
using it that much, so maybe we'll just create a field for now. um, but again, that's why the justification piece and documenting the why and what the long-term plan is with that, and then making sure it's known, because staff turnover happens. So if you lose one person and the next person kind of steps in and they're like, what is this for, why is this here, and
Yeah.
there's no explanation, then everything you worked to build is just gone anyway, because they're probably just going to do away with it. So
Right. Right. And we'll get into a little bit more of a turnover in one of our
right.
questions coming up too. But no, great points all the way around. And I could see like the cost restraint, right? Like if that volunteer module is an additional cost, right? But I also think there's not a lot of proactive thought going into the benefit versus the cost, right? If we do this one thing, how do we do that? Versus like, let's actually explore what that volunteer module looks like and what it will do. And again, I'm a big proponent of if you have your preferred tools, you need to have an account manager or a name at that organization that can help you walk through these things. Even if they're saying, well, like, hey, I'm your account manager and I don't really know the module that well, they should be able to connect you with someone to be like, hey, give me a half an hour walkthrough on how this is done, what it's used for, what's the insight you gain for it. So I can really put together a good thought on like, here's the cost, here's the extra add-on or thing we're trying to do now, what's the benefit of it, what do we really need when we're trying to pull information out and use it for analysis, right?
Right, absolutely.
Yeah, cool. All right, let's move on to number 3. No nonprofit merit on this one, just a good question to have out there for your friends at parties. What is a group of flamingos called? You said a flock. Sorry, it is a flamboyance of flamingos. I have
I
0 notes. That is the perfect answer for what a group of flamingos should be called.
That's amazing, and I
Yeah,
never would have guessed that.
yeah, right. Right. You're welcome. We're learning.
Thank you.
Uh, cool. All right. Let's jump into number 4 then. So, in Beauty and the Beast, what enchanted household item is obsessed with rules and schedules? You are correct. You said the clock. Do you know the clock's name?
You gotta stop asking me these questions.
So much harder when you do these things. Yeah.
I really liked that I didn't have to know his name. I think it's Cogsworth. Is it
It is
Cogsworth?
Cogsworth.
Yes.
See, there you go.
Oh, no, not the master's chair. I'm not seeing this. I am not.
All right. So, like Cogsworth, who loves his rules and time and all of that stuff, he would love a workflow. Is it a he when it's an enchanted clock? I think when it turns back into thing, I think it's a he. Whatever. Anyway, but maybe too much, right? So, like when do workflows create accountability, or when they just become like bureaucratic things that we're doing?
Right. So this is again where that custom field comes in, because if you're trying to perform a workflow on all these custom fields, it might not work the way you want it to. You might accidentally make the automation a little too complex, which would maybe trigger constant pop-ups or pop-ups at the wrong time, creating that, making them mandatory fields. I've seen some CRMs set up where like every field is mandatory and you can't create a new record, or you can't put a transaction in or whatever without having these specific fields, even when they're not needed. So that can be frustrating. Unnecessary email alerts. You can actually be creating more friction by having too many custom fields and trying to make workflows around them, because you might be making more manual work. So if you're trying to do something that's automated, maybe an automated export or just an email notification, well, now you're having to sift through a bunch of emails, or maybe kind of massaging your data after the fact, after the export, because it's maybe not showing you what you want. And then, yeah, so if it gets to be where the process is taking longer than it would if you would just do it manually, it's probably not working.
Right. So an example of a work, like one of the workflows you'd see, which is the kind of maybe the easiest one, is like, hey, you get a donation, an automatic acknowledgement email or something goes out like that. What's another one, like example, if you have one that like, hey, this is a workflow that we typically would create in a CRM management process that either has worked well or not worked well?
Yeah, so a really common one is new donors.
Okay.
So donors that have obviously donated
Oh
for the
yeah.
first time. Lapsed or lapsing donors, at-risk donors, re-engaged donors. So let's say maybe they were in that lapsing status and then they gave again.
And the workflow would be like the communication that happens after they've taken whatever triggering event.
Sometimes,
Yeah.
sometimes it's a communication workflow. Sometimes it could just be a notification workflow where it's either notifying a fundraiser or your database admin or whomever is kind of responsible for that category of donors, just kind of alerting them so then they can either make a phone call or do a handwritten note or their own personal email, something of that nature. There's a lot of workflows for like the data side. So, the new donors are a pretty common one. So then we can kind of look through those and send them to the appropriate fundraiser based
Sure.
on dollar amount. So it's
Okay.
just kind of stuff like that. Just things that you don't want to spend time manually looking through your database for, where it's easy enough for them, the database, to just send you like a little notification or trigger or something to be like, hey, look at this, look at me.
Yeah. Yeah. We're actually kind of a adjacent example. We're putting together like a centralized email system right now in our organization. And one thing that like we pride ourselves on is communication, but set something up, and this is very new for us, is that like if there's an email out there and someone hasn't responded to it or categorized it or whatever in 48 hours, it's sending us a notification in Slack saying like, hey, this one hasn't been touched. And I'm not
Oops.
sure if I like this yet or not, right? It's too new to us, but like we're getting several of these and we're all still learning the tool as well. So that's an example where it's like, hey, we created this and it goes to Slack where we kind of live with our internal communication. And I honestly love that tool, but it might be overkill when we get down to looking at it. But so yeah, it's another thing just to see. And some of those things you just need to test out, right? Just like, let's try it, let's put it out there. It worked, it didn't. Just make sure you know what it's doing and when, and is that serving a purpose? So cool.
Absolutely. Yep.
Okay. In Friends, what piece of furniture is Ross trying to move when he's shouting out repeatedly pivot? Great scene, Ian. You got to put a little bit of that in here, please.
Pivot! 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 Pivot!
Yeah, so it is a couch. Absolutely correct on this one. You're killing it at this point, I think, at least through 5. But yeah, so like just a little bit, maybe even just alluding to what we kind of talked about already, is like when you have a CRM integration or a workflow that's built, sometimes you're too quick to pivot away from it and not understanding what the goal is or what you're trying to do. And is it doing what it's intended to? Did you do the diligence and the thought process in building it the right way versus right away? Like we've already had this where something's happened and we've overreacted and been like, oh, it wasn't perfect and this didn't work on this specific case, which may never repeat again. And suddenly we're putting up all sorts like, oh, what do we need to do? How do we change this process and whatnot? So before you pivot on any of those things, really just understanding all of the details of the scenario and if there is an actionable item that needs to be changed or not, right?
Yeah, and this is where it kind of comes back to, you can automate, you can have AI, you can do all the things, but there's always going to be a little bit of manual because life isn't black and white. Relationships aren't black and white. There's no one size fits all for everything. There's going to be little situations that happen here and there, especially in nonprofits. There's so many nonprofits that have different programs, different donors, different everything. So to think that there is a perfect tool or workflow or AI solution that's going to just do everything for you, well, that's just kind of silly. It's not
Yeah.
going to happen. Sorry.
Right.
So yeah, even with workflows, for example, the new donor workflow. This is one that I'm working with a current client. The workflow triggers when somebody donates for the first time. Well, when you have spouses and the husband primarily donates, and let's say something prompts the wife to donate, it flags her as a new donor, even though clearly they're not new donors. So that's one situation where the workflow isn't seamless. You still need to kind of review a little bit and be like, oh, no, she's actually, that person's spouse.
Right.
um, so yeah, there's always going to be a little bit of manual.
Right. And in that case, that's a great example. In that case, you don't want to acknowledge them as a new donor, but you also want to cultivate that relationship, because if both humans, regardless if they're married, are donating, that's beneficial too. So is that something where it's like, oh, we've had this. Do we make this whole process around now a wife of an existing donor happened? Or do we be like, no, I'm just going to write an email and then put them in our normal workflow for recurring donors now or whatever? That just seems it would make more sense than to be like, how often is this going to happen when the spouse starts this? And maybe if you're at a $200,000 recurring donor thing, that's something that, yes, we need a thing for that. But if you're at the organizations we're likely talking to here, where you're in the hundreds or thousands of donors, right? It's probably something where it's like, let's step out of the workflow, be humans, and deal with this right now.
Right, because absolutely you still want to thank them, but you're probably not going to put them through the same new donor series that you would a brand new donor, right? Or mark them as both being mailed, because then you're going to duplicate mailings or, whatever. So just those little things. And some spouses actually do like that. I have encountered some spouses that
Yeah.
want to be completely separate. So again, good touch point to follow up, say, hey, do you want separated? Do you want together? Whoa. How can we improve your experience with our organization? So
Right. And like I'm bad at this too, and we know all the young listeners out there are as well, but you may actually want to pick up the phone and call them and be like, "Hey, we're really excited that you are a first-time donor for us. We would love to give you all of the information that we would normally give a new donor, with how we're using it and this is going to impact our mission. However, we realize that your spouse has been a highly valued donor of ours for a long time. Would you not like that, or would you like that?" Right. And
yes.
just, I think if I got that call, I'd be like, wow, this organization is on top of their people. And right away, like, that relationship is golden as long as you maintain it.
Yes, it goes back to stop guessing what your donors want and just ask them.
Yes. Great advice. I love it. Okay, number 6 in Game of Thrones. What phrase, warns that trouble is coming? You are correct. Winter is coming.
And winter is coming.
Winter is coming.
Both know that winter is coming.
Alluded to this earlier. So, like, staff turnover, right? Like, we will have those things, or consultant turnover. Those things will come, right? And then grant season's coming, and then whatever else. So, like, how do you take the right steps now to be prepared for these things in the future?
I have run into several times where tribal knowledge has been an issue. Things aren't.
I'm going to say, is tribal knowledge now not a PC term? I don't
know.
I don't know what it is. Like, I feel like I've got an eyebrow or two raised when I said that. So I'm trying
Really?
to say, yeah, I feel like there's he's in his Native American is the wrong thing. I am not the most PC guy. I don't ever mean to offend anyone. Like, I'm the most open, whatever guy that you can think of, open-minded. But yeah, I think we're supposed to say institutional knowledge now.
Oh, so sorry. Sorry.
I didn't mean to call you. Like, I have no judgment, because I feel like, all right, sorry to interrupt. Institutional knowledge, go.
Institutional knowledge, where it kind of just gets stuck with the people who are there. And this is where it comes down to documenting. And it might feel silly to write down the why, but it's important to know the why, because if the people coming in after you don't understand why you were doing something, they're probably going to try that again or try the other things that you did. And then the whole organization as a whole is just doing the same things over and over and over and over. And they don't need to. It's just, it becomes kind of a trap where it's like, I built this so I know how it works type of thing. which I have seen a ton of, is workflows or processes. I've had to go into organizations and redo their entire SOP because the processes were just lacking.
Yeah.
And the whys weren't there, and there was so much extra stuff that just didn't need to be in there. So that's been a pretty common thing for me.
Yeah. I can relate. And again, don't do the same work, but even when like creating a budget for a nonprofit, right? I will harp on everyone on my team is like, record all the assumptions in as much detail as necessary, right? Because like if we say where an organization is engaged us to help with their budget, we're going to put it all together and talk to them and get a lot of input on when dollars are going to come in and what do they expect for hiring and all that other stuff. But first of all, if we don't document that, you're not going to be able to answer the questions. Why is this positive or negative to what we expected this year? But the second part is like, if we're not involved in that conversation, don't ask us that question either, because I don't know why you gave me this budget because you didn't have me help you do it, right? So like, you gave me numbers. I don't know how you built your numbers. If you have me help you create numbers, I will know what's in the numbers, and then I can speak to the numbers later. Yes. So yeah, I mean, I think like, first of all, document it, even if it's like run through it with a video, right, for 5 minutes and just walk through how you built it, and you're talking to yourself, right? But someone can use that. Like, then that person leaves, just tell them like, when you're transitioning, oh, there's a video I made on the budget that talks through how we did. Yeah. Anything like that can help.
I love videos. That's part of my SOP building process is I'll do the written documentation, and I actually do it in several different ways because, people learn and pick up things differently. But then I also do demo videos because, again, people might find the video more helpful instead of just reading step 1, step 2, step 3. So yeah, love demo videos.
Well, yeah. And so many of those tools now, you can just do the video and be like, type up an SOP and then just read through it and make 4 changes. And it's pretty good. Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. Okay. Another one, 0 nonprofit merit in this one. The dot above a lowercase I or J is called a tittle. Again, you're welcome.
I'm loving these. Tittle, flamboyance.
Flamboyance. Yeah, I was hitting on cylinders here. Yeah, so no, didn't get that one right. I would not have gotten that one right either, but all good. All right, I did go and see Mandalorian Grogu with my kids this weekend.
Nice.
Did you see it? No?
No.
Hey, never touch the buttons.
I feel like the critics are good on this one. Is like, it's a fun movie to watch, but the story is kind of in my opinion. They could have like made a deeper, more impactful story, but like, it's, if you like the characters, it's a good movie. But anyway, The Mandalorian, what do they repeatedly say to describe the correct path or practice? This is the way.
This is the way.
This is the way. This is the way.
Okay, yeah. I don't know why I said path. I'm like, no, that's not right. I'm like, no, this is the way.
I mean, path was in the question, so hopefully I didn't write that crappy of an answer. But anyway, we talked about, I alluded to this already too, like documentation is how future staff know this is the way things are done, right? So without that, the context and everything can be completely lost. So like, what are the most important things to think about when you're thinking of when you're creating custom fields or when you're creating a workflow process, the right things to document? Where do you have that? How long do you retain it? All of that kind of stuff.
Yes. I would say, obviously, documenting the process of how it was set up, because if something breaks or needs to be adjusted or tweaked and you're not the person who's doing it, then whoever is either after you or filling in for you needs to see how that's done. In addition, I would say the why. Why was the workflow built in the first place, or why was this field put into place? Just to kind of give some background knowledge, because there are certain workflows that I've built that are specific for a fundraiser. Like that fundraiser specifically asked me for XYZ. So just knowing that, so if a new database administrator comes in, or maybe you're expanding your team and they're kind of taking over some of those tasks for you, they know why it's there. And then I usually do, when I create my SOPs, I'll have my original document and then I'll have my revisions along the way. So I don't know, retention, I guess If you're not in the CRM anymore, probably don't need it. But if you're still using it and it's still an active part of what you're doing, I don't know. I usually just keep everything. I'm very much a retention oriented person.
Yeah, I think that's nature because, like, much like you, the finance team, like, you're the version of the truth when it comes to numbers. So I'm going to retain everything I can as long as I can, right? Usually I'm talking about, like, if it's receipts or things like that, you only need to hang on to it for an audit period or other documentation that might impact tax filings in 7 years, right? But to me, I'm telling my team, like, just save all the emails. Like, I don't care if our Google storage, we start having to pay 10 cents every month because we're going over in megabytes, right? Just keep it just in case, because there's been times where it's like 3 years later, you're like, wait, why am I getting accused of this? Or where did that come from? And you can do a search and find that. So yeah, I'm just big too, like, save all the things.
Yes, absolutely.
Cool. The next one, again, I was on a Star Wars kick, but these two just seem to hit home. I was really surprised you got the last one right, not this one though. So,
Yeah.
but all good. What massive space station has one tiny design flaw that leads to its destruction? So this is the original Star Wars storyline. That would be the Death Star.
Okay, I was like, I don't know what's wrong with me today. Because I was gonna say that. I'm like, wait a minute.
Just say it. It's not like the whatever the school standardized tests where you get more if you leave it blank, you don't get points off,
Right.
but if you get it wrong, so this is not that. Okay, very good. Anyway, going with this one, so like overbuilt systems can still fail because of a bad assumption, things like that. Like what? How do I want to say this? Like, how do we make the processes that we're doing and the decisions we're making in the CRM useful and sustainable versus like, hey, this is just a clever, cool thing I thought of that's out there.
Right. So comes down to forward thinking. Be thinking in long term. Are we going to be using this for a while? Do we need this for a while? Is our department changing? Are roles changing? Really go over definitions with your teams. So if it's a custom field with your finance team, again, what do we need this for? Will we need this in 5 years? Or is this something to fix, is this a Band-Aid fix now for maybe a finance conversion? Maybe they're changing something or something's not working. If it's with your development team, is this something that will help us with our donors, with our budgeting, with our forecasting, with, whatever? Or again, is this a kind of a short-term Band-Aid because somebody specific wanted something specific? So yes, definitely be thinking long-term sustainability. I would try to stick to native functionality whenever possible. Again, it usually exists somewhere. And maybe that means that you have to reach out to your account manager and say, hey, you know what? This is what we're trying to do. This is what we'd like. Does this exist somewhere? And if not, some people will actually take that feedback and create it. It might not be the next day, but maybe they'll put it in their engineering workflow or something. So yeah, and also be thinking through, is this going to break? So that will happen with integrations. I've had it happen with integrations where I've been connecting different platforms to each other and then the integration breaks. Well, then what? Who's responsible for it? Who's taking ownership of it? What does it look like? How does it get fixed? Same thing with your custom fields. Sometimes it goes wrong. Sometimes it breaks. Sometimes it doesn't work the way you were hoping. Then what?
Yeah, I agree. And I just had an example today. So I was at a board meeting this morning with a client of ours, and their major gifts officer or development director, or what, I forgot her title, was talking about their spring fundraising campaign that they're doing, right? So they do one, or maybe it's summer, right? Early summer, and then one in the winter, right? And she's like, and I don't know if this was communicated when she took over the role, but during the period when they send out like their communications and go through this effort of fundraising for their summer fundraiser, any dollars that happen to come in, they would just put as part of that fundraiser. Where she said natively they have some odd tens of thousands of dollars that they just get anyway, right? regardless that it's part of this campaign. It's just that they're a larger nonprofit and they have donors and they have good communications where they'll get it. And she's like, I'm very much trying to segment that out. So the amount that you may see for this fundraiser will likely be significantly less than what you've seen in prior years. However, right or wrong, the prior administration would just say anything we got in during that 4-week or 6-week period just would be applied to that fundraiser effort. So I think that again, talk about how that's sustainable, right? Is just either she knew that or there was retained staff that would say, oh yeah, like every time we'd get $1, we'd put it to that. She's thinking, well, I don't like that, right or wrong. I'm not going to operate that way. We want to be able to be more accountable to the spend that we're doing and the dollars that result directly from it. So I think that was a great example of just like making good thought and good communication with staff turnover.
Yes, absolutely. And I actually have an example of that too. One of the nonprofits I used to work for, they would take appeals from literally any year. We would have donors send in appeals from 1999, and they would want it attributed to that appeal. And I'm like, okay, clearly it's 2023, and I don't think they responded to that appeal in a timely manner. I don't think we need to put it towards that appeal. I think it could just go towards general. So, yeah, I ended up having to have a meeting with our executive director and our marketing team and have this whole conversation on ROI and what like best practice was for recording different appeal timelines and helping them understand. Because same thing, sometimes they'd be like, nope, this is when we do this appeal. The Christmas appeal was their big one. And we're anything that comes in that just goes towards Christmas. And I'm like, no. If they don't respond with the Christmas appeal card, it should not go to that.
Yeah, or go to that landing page or whatever it is.
Right. Yes. So yeah, I similar experience.
Yeah, I think that's funny though that they turned in like a 1999 envelope or whatever.
Yeah.
Who
I,
has that laying around?
I've seen it multiple times.
Oh Lord, crazy. The other thing I was going to mention that thankfully came back to me is, so like if you're in this new role and you talk about it being sustainable or like transitioning things, you talked about how important it is to know where you're going. So like having that conversation with the executive director or the board or whoever, and knowing that, being like, hey, we've used this tool now for 2 years. It's going to be our tool for the sustainable future. Hey, we've had this tool for 5 years. We really don't think it's at the level we need, and maybe going to start exploring something in 2 years, because that could do a big fork in the road of how you're going to nurture whatever tools you're using now. And how that's going to change your planning for your staff, for your operations, for the documentation you want to throw out there, all of that stuff. Just know what the plan is.
Yes. Great point. Absolutely.
Yeah. Great. All right. Last one, my favorite one. We got to go golfing with the wonderful Sean and Adri last Friday. It was fun, if nothing else.
It was fun.
How would you rate Summer's golfing skills? -20. That if like golf, the low score is good though.
Oh.
So I don't know what the right answer is. I thought you would say poorly or something of that nature, but I don't know if we can assign a number here and give it any kind of insight. Because
you did specify, Jeremy.
That's true. I didn't say that was an unclear question. But no, good time had by all. I think we realized with all of our collective golfing skills, it was best to play best ball pretty quickly. But yeah, it was good. Great weather, all the things.
Yeah, it was super fun. I haven't golfed since high school, so I was just impressed when I would actually hit the ball.
Right, and we did use your ball more than once, so in best ball. So yeah, that's good too. All right, great. Well, I'm going to still give you a correct score for that last one on the golf because there was no wrong answers. But I think it was a pretty good one. 60%, 70 maybe %. That's pretty good. Yeah,
it's not bad.
We're coming into our own here. I like it. With that being said, any kind of closing thoughts, kind of just to wrap up, we're talking about CRM customization, but not over engineering things. To bring it home.
So yeah, just kind of circling back on a few things. Make sure you're justifying if you actually need the customized field, or asking your account manager if something native already exists. Documenting why. so that anyone who's stepping into your role or even just other members of your team have a clear understanding of why this is there. Keeping things simple, don't overcomplicate your workflows, keeping staff turnover or other team members in mind as you're creating things, and then thinking long term. So
Yeah, well, that's great. I appreciate that. And then just a reminder, we talked about this beginning, the new doTERRA add-on from Bloomerang, right? Going to be cool there. Have you used any other things like that? I meant to ask you then, Summer, like that have kind of that generative donor modeling stuff in it?
yeah, so there's actually quite a few different CRMs out there that are doing this predictive modeling plus AI. Salesforce is kind of a big one. They have their Einstein AI, and that one analyzes donor data, predicts constituent churn risk, major gift off or not AI again.
Yeah.
Major gift opportunities and recommended personalized outreach. Virtuous is kind of following suit in there. Bloomerang came up. Razor's Edge, they have predictive modeling starting, and well, already started. They did that I think a year or two ago, and then also where you can just do like thank you AI thank yous. So it'll start writing your thank you for you, and then you can say no more friendly or more formal and kind of tweak it a little bit before you send it. And then this one I actually haven't heard of, but Live Impact came up. So I have to look into that one.
Okay,
Yeah,
yeah.
I've not heard of that one.
Yeah, I've heard of most
But
of those.
then I also am currently working in a database called Charity Engine, and they have some of that predictive modeling. So they'll, in your donor profile, it'll say kind of gift probability, whether they're like warm or to nurture them, or hot, I think is their temperature gauge, and then kind of suggested next ask. So some very useful stuff there for sure.
Okay. What do you think? We dig into Charity Engine next? I think we're due to dig in another tool.
Yeah, we could.
For listeners, this makes it way more front end work for us to do it. So got to just pick the right times. But
Yes.
yeah. Why don't we plan on that? Cool. Well, great. I think that's great. Thanks everyone for listening. Again, you can find us at unchartedpodcast.net or .org. I was just saying we're too cheap to have .com. So there's that. Also, please, like if this connected with you or you have people in the nonprofit charity space working with these tools, love it if you'd share that with them. And any questions or things you have, we have a contact form. Please reach out. We'd love to frame some episodes just on listener questions as well.
Yes, that would be amazing. Please reach out.
Yeah, great. All right, another one of the books. Thanks, Summer.
Thanks, Jeremy.